Such a pleasure to have you guys back here. We spoke. I've got Aaron and Matt here at the table. We spoke, I guess, about a month ago, which was 2 weeks before the record came out. And listeners can check out that conversation at cbc.ca/Q. We'll put it back up. But so today I want to focus on a number of other projects you've been involved in and how they feed into this record. But I should ask, since our last discussion, because that was before The Trouble Will Find Me was released, how are you feeling now that it's out there, Matt?
I think I feel really good about it. It's putting a record out is like sending a kid to school or something. You just hope it doesn't get beat up, and it hasn't. So it's done great, and people seem to like it, and we feel really, really happy with it. So it wouldn't have mattered, but it's nice to hear that other people like it too. So.
Aaron, we talked about the fact that you fainted on a plane during the creation of this album. Your lung collapsed while you were making another record, Alligator. How's your health 1 month into this adventure?
It's funny that my back collapsed on the day that the record came out. I seem to have a physical reaction to stress, but I feel good now.
He's actually the healthiest, probably the healthiest guy in the band, but some sort of...
We played Sorrow from High Violet 108 times in a row, and then a few days later my back collapsed. So
I want to get to that because that's an interesting... but Matt, you talked about the reaction being, I think you just modestly said it's been good, but the critical reviews for the record have been kind of nothing short of rapturous. I mean, as a band that's struggled to shake off outside expectations, does that external affirmation mean something?
We like it. I mean, we stopped worrying so much about it. I think in for a long period in our career, we had no attention at all. For the first 5 years. Then we started to get a little attention. So I think we were desperate to keep a little of that. So every record, there felt like there was a lot of pressure on. We don't want to blow it now because we just got our foot in the door, and so that was a kind of a part of our personality, the band, for a while, and I think that served us well, that sort of hunger. This record, in the making of this record and everything, I think we stopped thinking about that because there's nothing you can do. It doesn't help you write good songs thinking about this thing. So, but and I think you can hear this sort of the easygoing vibe a little more on this record. But it is nice. It is nice to get good reviews. Yeah.
Aaron, last month you participated in an AMA, or Ask Me Anything, this is on the Big Line online community, Reddit. This is where people pose questions to you. You answer in real time. AMAs are known for their directness, their intimacy. For people used to communicating through your music, what appealed to you about opening yourselves up to the public like that?
Well, it's funny because I don't think we really knew what we were getting into. But then once because none of us had ever done something like that, or even I think we're sort of not that deep into social media or sort of, getting that connected. But it was fun because you got to see how much people actually know about the band, and certain fans were asking like extremely detailed, specific
inappropriate
questions. But it was fun. It was a nice way to feel like we were actually...
The second chord on Demons,
yeah,
there seems to be a flat. Is that Bryce?
Nobody ever asked about the
Actually,
music.
that was Bryce.
I wish they would.
He's flat on Demons.
They weren't. So the questions weren't about the music, the detailed questions.
No, it's usually what is Matt saying at the end of Secret Meeting? What is he screaming?
And did you answer that?
I never wrote lyrics for that. It's just gobbledygook, and so people keep thinking it's some sort of weird backwards riddle. Paul is dead, sort of thing. Aaron is dead, but no, it's just it's nothing. Yeah, I should probably write something for that.
Did you enjoy that interactive experience, man? I know you're not going to say you didn't enjoy it because that would be dissing your fans, but was it interesting for you?
I hated every second of it. No, I typed super slow and I got confused. So. I couldn't figure out where my responses were going, and then I saw my cousin popped up on it, and I was trying to respond to him, and I was like, "Hey, Dave," and
can't he just email you or call you?
He can. I think he jumped in on that, and I was like, "Oh, there's my cousin." Then I lost the thread. I don't know. I was like in a.
It sounds like a
closet.
Disaster.
Yeah, for me it was.
Well, Matt, you also let your brother Tom follow you around and film during your High Violet tour. This is for the documentary called "Mistaken for Strangers." It premiered famously at the Tribeca Film Festival in April. It was here at Hot Docs in Canada as well. You've called it the most daunting creative endeavor you've ever been part of. How so?
Making a hour and a half, feature film that is not boring, and it was. I mean, my wife helped craft the story. It has to have, we didn't want to profile the band. We didn't want just like a puff piece or a tour diary. And then the truth that the most interesting things that happened were my brothers kind of falling apart and things kind of going badly with him and him getting fired, and on the tour. That turned out when we realized, well, that's worth telling. That story's worth telling, and but it just took a long time to go through 200 hours of footage, and he ended up moving in with my wife and I. So they were editing the movie and continuing to film the movie while we were editing the movie, and that becomes part of the movie. It was just a glued together pretzel at some points that we got lost in. It was kind of a toxic creative environment, but ultimately really rewarding. And
Well, people really appreciate it, but is it, Aaron, is it significant that you're letting people see you behind the performances and albums and get behind the scenes? Is this some sort of band decision to open up more?
I don't think so. It happened organically because Tom came on tour, and he's very close to us also, and we all became very close. So the fact that he was sort of incompetent at his regular tour job, and then he had a camera. And we all actually just naturally open up with him because he's so gregarious and kind of lovable, and funny. So I think he kind of brought the best out in the band. So what you learn about the band is more of a human side, what we're actually like. And I think we are glad about that because we do often get portrayed as gloomy,
Brooding
rockers or something, which is actually not how we actually are.
I am. I'm still super.
You actually are, yeah.
But Matt, by the way, is wearing dark shades right now, and he won't let anybody see his eyes.
I have a full black sheet over my whole body right now.
Matt, he's not wearing dark shades. Matt, you've said though a few times that on Trouble Will Find Me, your guard is down more than on any of the other records. What have you understood? What has created the conditions where you could feel so vulnerable, so candid on album number 6?
Be perfectly honest, my guard has kind of been down from the beginning. I am writing lyrics to songs in the bedroom. I've never been that afraid of exposing ugly parts of my personality or my brain, or my heart, whatever. But this time, it was even more. I was more relaxed about singing songs about sincere, kind of earnest songs about my wife, or songs about death and things that maybe I probably would have avoided because we've already got a tag of being sort of dark and miserablest, and so a bunch of songs about death. I don't know if that's going to help our career at all, but I didn't care this time.
Has success bred confidence in you?
I think so. Yeah,
that would make sense.
Yeah, I have a 4-year-old daughter, and there's that put everything into perspective. Made me realize why are we stressed out about the image of our band so much? Our band is not actually the most important thing in our life. So, I think all of us kind of reached a level of let's just have fun with this and follow the songs and not put them through any kind of abstract self-conscious filters, I guess.
The Cincinnati via Brooklyn band, The National, are here with me in studio today. Trouble Will Find Me is the name of their new record. Singer Matt Berninger, guitarist and writer Aaron Dessner are at the table with me. Aaron, I wanted to ask you about this. The National recently delved into the area of performance art. You appeared at the MoMA PS1 in New York, and as part of Icelandic artist Ragnar Kjartansson, is that how you say it? Kjartansson's A Lot of Sorrow. You performed your beloved song, Sorrow, for 6 hours straight, more than 100 times. First of all, what attracted you to that project as a band?
Well, it's interesting. Ragnar approached us through MoMA and he had written a letter describing this idea for a sort of performance art piece featuring sorrow, and he would build this environment. And his work is often about repetition, and he's done a lot of, he did a Mozart aria for 24 hours or something, and he is interested in how music transforms through repetition and takes on a different meaning. And I think he's also really he has a sense of humor, and there was something about his letter that was both very funny and then obviously serious from an artistic perspective. And we have a sort of mutual friend who's involved with PS1, so we were kind of came through the right channel, and we were, I don't know, strangely in the mood to do something like that. Although normally, if you'd asked us to do that over the past several years, usually we would have not agreed to
All
do
the
something
all
like
the
that.
normal times somebody would come
but
and say,
somehow
play a song 100
our
times.
guard was down.
Was it torturous or fulfilling for you in the end?
It was. I think everyone would agree it was fulfilling and sort of transcendent, and also we learned something about our endurance, about our the nature of our songs, and that some of them can be these kind of quasi spiritual experiences, and that the fact that the song repeats on itself, the chords kind of cycle on themselves, and some of the words do come across like he's repeating things, and by the end the audience was singing the song so loudly that we almost didn't have to sing the song anymore. It was.
I'm glad you actually said that about transcending. I was going to ask you guys this. I mean, the legendary performance artist Marina Abramovich was here last week. She's maybe at this point best known for what that exhibit she did, that performance she did at the MoMA, where it was called The Artist is Present, where she would allow people to come in and gaze into her eyes for, in some cases, hours at a time. And she says the energy generated between herself and the audience leads to a sense of transformation. Would that be true of you in this experience, Matt?
Yeah, it was. There were about 70 people or something that ran in the minute the doors opened, and were there for 6 hours, and were just like leaning on the stage, just with us for the full 6 hours and singing along. And there was a great sort of bonding between us on that whole thing. I mean, there was something silly about the project, but that was nice. That was kind of, and people were laughing along. And at one point, it had more of a mental effect on me than a physical effect. I didn't find it hard to sing the song 100. We did it 108 times, but I think around 96 or 97, I kind of like really listened and paid attention to the song again, and it hit me kind of in an emotional way, and I kind of choked up. It was like out of 108 times, one time I could barely get it out because I got kind of choked up, and it was this.
Wow.
It was really great. I don't know. It was.
So you started to.
I just
got. Well, you also could have been tired.
I could have just been.
But you
cranky
started
and sleepy. But
But you started to have a different relationship to the song again.
Yeah.
96 times in.
It was. I suddenly, like, my wife and daughter came into my brain, and all of us, and just I think the fatigue and the beauty of the thing, and it's a sad song. If after 97 times it got to me, and I pulled it together, and then did it another 10 times, I think. But yeah, it was very, very a strange, great experience.
Did your experience with your feelings about the song change, Aaron?
Yeah,
for better or for worse?
Yeah, because it's on the surface it seems to be sorrow, so it's about sorrow. But it did. There were moments where it was quite joyful, and there were moments where we were experimenting with how we were playing it, but it's still it felt we never lost the thread of the song, but we did kind of drift in and out of normal ways of playing it, and I don't know. Yeah, it's been reinvigorated, that song. So now when we play it in concerts, people were worried we would be sick of the song, but actually we're really enjoying it again.
That's really interesting. The other thing that we talked a bit about this last month, but you and Marina Abramovich also share an emphasis on death in your art. And Trouble Will Find Me contains lyrical themes of mortality, afterlife. She said she's preoccupied by death because it narrows her focus onto the important things in life and cuts out the frivolous. Does that resonate for you?
Well, no. For me, with this record, I think the sort of rumination on existence, and then the possible eventual non-existence, was for me a kind of a liberating idea, just because the idea that the people that you touch are your afterlife, and when your light goes out, it's you're gone. But everybody you've touched, most directly your kids, but all your family and your wives and your friends, whoever goes on after you is your heaven or hell, sort of. And for me, that became a really it was a relief to think of it that way. In a way, it feels, and also a very motivating and empowering way to think of of life and death and existence and non-existence. So. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't. I can't say exactly if it's the same sort of approach or thoughts of death that Marina does. But one thing I did hear about her, which she said never repeat, and I'm going to repeat it. But she said
in a secret conversation, she said this to you.
I know, but
No one's listening.
She was
It's okay.
talking to actually talking to Ragnar, and she said, "Don't tell anybody this." But when I do those things, I sit for 12 hours or whatever, and like she's like it's like a vacation for me. It's I find it so relaxing, and I mean it's difficult in some ways, but on an emotional, mental level, it's like a meditation, and she ultimately enjoys it. And I mean, some of the things that she does are more physically, difficult than others. But and then so when we were doing Sorrow, there was a thing. It felt like it was a more relaxing day than we'd had for months in a strange way. But yeah.
Wow. Well, before I let you, I want you guys to play another song, and the whole band's here. But during our last chat, you highlighted just how important family has become for you now that several of you are parents. How has it been to reconcile that realization with diving into touring this record, being away from your family, living with the music 24/7, knowing that this is going to be the next cycle for this record? How are you guys working on that right now?
I think it's difficult. We don't think we've found our stride yet as far as that goes. It's been nice. Matt has his family on tour now for the first time, and that's really nice for everybody. But some myself and Brian and Ben, we all have little babies, and
You have a brand new baby.
Now Ingrid is 22 months.
Oh,
so she says,
Brian's got a
points
brand
at
new
the
baby.
Sea of Love video.
Brian has the baby.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Brian has 2 little boys. But so we're figuring that out. But it's definitely, when you're in the middle of the concerts, you're in that moment. You don't really think about anything else. But then obviously traveling, you have to get used to it. And but we're fortunate that we have such great people around us, and we have this team of people that's been kind of built up over several years, and so it doesn't, we actually have it pretty easy, I think.
It's really nice to have you here, as
Thank you.
always.